now switch gears to a topic that a lot of folks are paying attention to. It's about grid parity, the future of energy storage. Catherine von Burg will be our next speaker. She leads SimpiPhi Power, which is a non-toxic energy storage and management company. Catherine, when you are ready, we look forward to hearing your presentation. Come on up. Absolutely. And here's, have you been familiarized with this? This is your pointer, and this is the slideshow.
Clicker, and to the right.
Yeah,
okay.
right.
Thank you. Hello, good morning. I appreciate being invited to participate in these discussions and decisions that are driving the energy industry. My name is Catherine von Burg. I'm the CEO and president of SimpiPhi Power, an innovative and growing technology company that designs and manufactures efficient, non-toxic, intelligent energy storage and management systems that seamlessly integrate renewable power in conjunction with or independent of the grid. Without energy storage, renewable sources of power are intermittent and unreliable, but so is the grid. When blackouts and emergency scenarios occur, the centralized delivery of power breaking down. SimpiPhi Power takes the intermittency out of any power generation source and creates power security and resiliency. Takes the intermittency out and puts power back into the hands of people, enabling them to store, utilize their own power supply anytime, anywhere, at home, at work, or on the go. With that in mind, I have been asked to address the question of grid parity and the future of power storage. Grid parity occurs when an alternate energy source can generate power at a levelized cost of electricity that is less than or equal to the price of electricity delivered from the grid. The problem with this definition is that it's predicated on incomplete financial modeling that does not capture true costs associated with centralized extraction, generation, and transmission of fossil-based fuels. It only speaks to the price point to the consumer as it is delivered on the transmission grid. If the true costs of fossil fuel industry were built into the price of a gallon of gas or a kilowatt hour of electricity, the debate over grid parity would be over, and the consumer would be making very different purchasing decisions. So what are these hidden costs? The IMF just recently published a report that estimates that subsidies, one of the most significant costs worldwide, total $5 trillion. And it also states that if we eliminated subsidies post-tax, that $2.9 trillion would become available in revenue to governments worldwide and would eliminate 50% of the deaths, the premature deaths that occur because of toxic fallout from environmental damage from the fossil fuel industry. This list provides somewhat of a comprehensive example of some of the hidden costs that are not included in this proposition of levelized cost of energy and the proposition of parity. So, energy storage, what is the solution? We believe coupling energy power with clean, long-lasting, and efficient energy storage creates a safe, non-toxic, and sustainable model of power generation that is cost-effective and surpasses the question of parity. SimpiPhi Power has been deploying this solution of power generation and storage in mobile applications since 2002, and in residential and commercial applications since 2010. We are not in R&D, we are not beta testing, and we have been deploying our products in a wide variety of markets. I've included some examples so that you can see the systems real time. SimpiPhi Power, we partner with solar installers, architects, electricians all over the country, and we're beginning to enter global markets as well. We partner with solar installers to create net zero homes for businesses and homes, backup power. We partner with commercial entities such as Whole Foods. We provide peak shaving services, load shifting, backup power, eliminating the costs that are associated with power outages. It's estimated in the US alone, power outages cost the economy on an annual basis anywhere between $80 to $160 billion. Power storage represents a real-time solution for those economic losses. We also believe that the antipathy that has become apparent between utilities and centralized model of generation and distributed is unnecessary. We partner with utilities. Here's an example of an installation with the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. The proposition here was to replace fuel-based generators on an off-grid remote location called Owens Lake. It is no longer a lake. It is where the water was siphoned off to feed the growth starting in the turn of the century for the LA basin. We have 5 installations here, and we're talking with LADWP and other utilities to create a partnership that brings together distributed generation and power storage assets and centralized generation and storage assets. Here is an example. We've been partnering for almost 5 years now with the US Army and Department of Defense and the Marine Corps specifically. The proposition there was 5 years ago, there were more deaths on the front lines because of fuel convoys than there were in combat. Our idea was to replace fuel-based generators with solar panels, deployable mobile systems for men and women carrying their own power storage. In the event that we didn't replace fuel-based generators entirely, we created 80% fuel savings, which translated into saving lives and reducing fuel convoys. Since 2002, as I mentioned, we've been deploying mobile plug-and-play power storage products that interface seamlessly with fold-out renewable blankets, wind turbines, any power generation source. Our original mandate and vision was to extend access to electricity beyond the distribution grid, harnessing clean, renewable power. By contrast, these are installations that are typical of the fossil fuel industry. These are different images of installations for fracking sites, from water usage and other resources to the toxic water that then has to be stored, the devastation and raping of the land, the continued air pollution. All of these factors contribute to the cost of fuel and energy and should be included in new economic metrics that speak to the true levelized cost of energy. This is an example of the environmental devastation and human displacement and disease that results directly from fossil fuel industry. Images from Syria, refugee camps, to Katrina, to the Philippines, the drinking water, and some of the statistics about birth defects not only happening in Iraq and Afghanistan, but also in the Gulf and around Louisiana, the fish and wildlife and the birth defects happening there because of the toxicity of the oil spill. And then, of course, Beijing and other parts of the world that are congested with the smog from CO2 levels. And then finally, we have examples of oil installations, the devastation that comes from the drilling and pumping of oil and the gas spills. So again, I just want to propose in this debate on grid parity that are we really still trying to achieve parity with renewable power? Given these types of images and the installations that I shared with you, where we couple renewable power with clean, non-toxic energy storage. I postulate that we have reached parity. Actually, we have surpassed it. And these images are not the future, these are now. And taking the intermittency out of renewable power with clean energy storage is critical. As a company, we use lithium ferrophosphate. There is much confusion in the industry with regard to lithium-ion batteries. Very often, lithium-ion batteries are considered dangerous, toxic, and short-lived. That is the lithium cobalt oxide chemistry, one of the earliest chemistries developed. Our CTO began to work with and was one of the first pioneers to work with lithium ferrophosphate. That chemistry exponentially increases cycle life from 600 cycles, characteristic of the lithium cobalt oxide used by Panasonic, LG Chem, Boeing uses batteries, Tesla, et cetera. We exponentially increase cycle life. We warranty our batteries for 10 years. They last 15 or 20, if not longer. I guess in closing, what I would say is the chemistry of a storage matters. Incumbent chemistries such as lead acid, et cetera, have been used for years. We represent a whole new model of power generation that couples truly clean energy storage with renewable power to create power security and resiliency. I guess I'll close on the name itself of our company. Why SimpiPhi? Well, we'd like to simplify the whole power proposition and bring it down to a human scale. We work at 48 volts. We work in communities, households, businesses, schools, hospitals. The reason we chose Phi is that Phi represents something that's found in nature. It's the golden mean, and it represents balance and proportion. And it also really captures some of the principles behind how we design and manufacture our batteries. It's about biomimicry and using principles that are found throughout nature. Phi is that balance, and that's what we offer to the energy sector and to people. Thank you.
Hi, John Powers, Alliance for Sustainable Colorado. We're looking at changing our Alliance Center building for nonprofits from AC to a DC backbone. And we're researching right now the most advanced batteries. The ones that we're looking at are lithium titanate oxide. I didn't hear you describe them, so I'm curious because I'm a neophyte in this area. Tell us, what's the best batteries we could be looking at?
So the best battery, well, that's a matter of opinion, except when you look at performance profiles beyond the spec sheets. And that's what we offer, real-time examples with partners that provide rugged applications like the Department of Defense and LADWP, et cetera. The best battery storage, well, it starts with the chemistry, and we use lithium ferrophosphate. Lithium is one of the most ubiquitous elements on the planet. It rises up in salt beds, so the acquisition is very environmentally benign. It's the most benign, environmentally friendly chemistry. The extraction, it does not involve mining. The chemistry matters. Who's manufacturing the chemistry? We work with providers in North America and worldwide. The second issue is architecture. A lot of our IP is in the way we build the battery, and I refer back to this principle of Phi. Our batteries do not generate heat. Most of the battery chemistries and the formats that you mentioned generate heat to the extent that they have inefficiencies and losses. Our batteries are 98% efficient round trip, charge, discharge, which means that every watt you're harvesting from your solar or every gallon of fuel you're using from your generator is stored in our battery and available for use. You're not losing 30, 20, 50%. So the architecture is very important. What we've done is to create an interior environment where there's virtually no impedance for the flow of electrons. And then third, the power electronics. Power electronics, the battery management system that harnesses that architecture and the principles of the chemistry. We do not have thermal runaway, and so not only do we have efficiencies inside our batteries, but we offer efficiencies in installations themselves. You do not have to cool or ventilate. Our batteries can be installed upside down, sideways. They scale from a kilowatt up to megawatts. And I think I finally ran out of time. Thank you.